I'ma come a little different, but I tell her, free real start federal. Hey, let's get it. Let go, let go, let go.
Episode 5 of the Lunch Table Podcast. I'm Davo. That's Chabo. We took a little bit of a break, but now we're back. I'm back in the ATL. My stint with the Range Riders is done. Montana was beautiful, but I'm ready for a new chapter. EA Sports College Football 25 is finally here. I had to get the 3-day early access, so I've already been playing the mess out of the game. Chabo, unfortunately, I know you don't have the game yet, but from what you've seen, because obviously I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos of it, what are your first impressions?
Man, it looks beautiful, man. It's making my decision harder if I want to get the game or not, man. I was thinking about it and I was like, man, I'm gonna see if I want to invest in it, spend my time on it. I think it would tick me off if I got the game and didn't have the time to devote to it that I would want to have. But man, it looks phenomenal, bro. There's not a better, I don't think there's a better sports video game, out right now that I would want to play. I mean, NCAA, it's just got, a special meaning to it, a special aura about it. So I really, really appreciate it. And I really think it's a great return to college football, man. There's not a better way to get excited for the season and to jump into a season. There's not a better way to get excited about a sport than to throw your hands on a controller and play it. So, it's awesome. It's a beautiful game. I've been watching a million things about it. So I'm vicariously living through everybody playing it. So yeah, it looks awesome.
Bro, it is beautiful. I mean, it's about as good as you having a gallon of sweet tea and then you add another pound of sugar in there just to make it sweeter. That's how nice the game is, bro. When I tell you they have everything to the T, like I played with Georgia Southern for my very first game when I booted the game up, because got to rep my alma mater. When I tell you they have every detail like to the max, like they have the one more time chant in Paulson Stadium. I was just playing the game, bro, like wasn't really thinking about it. And I faintly heard one more time. And I was like, what the freak? Like it wasn't something to where it was super obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put it in there subtly, and I was like, "This is crazy." And I've ended up losing the game actually, and I knew it was a good game when I was genuinely upset. Like my feelings were hurt because I lost a video game. I was like, "Dang, man, what am I gonna do the rest of the day? Like, how can I can't be going out like this." It's nuts, bro. The game is actually crazy. I called my brother and I said, "Dog, stop what you're doing, buy a PS5, and go get this game right now."
Yeah.
He ends up FaceTiming me at like midnight or something and flips the screen to the TV. Got college football 25. This game is making insane waves, bro. You got to get it because
It,
we got to run an online dynasty, dog.
Yeah, I know. I'm seriously thinking about it. Really, really am. I mean, that's one. And like I said, if I get it, man, something gonna get put on the back burner. We may have a couple less graphics on the podcast, IG. I may take a couple extra days off work. It's gonna be something. Because if I get that game, it's gonna take a lot to get me off of it. Because it's just phenomenal, man. I remember I've seen a little TikTok trend where it's like it's a picture of like a 25-year-old guy or something, or our age, about 22-year-old guy, and it'll say like, oh, I'm not buying college football 25 for this guy, and then you swipe and it's like him 10 years old, and it's like this guy is buying college football 25. And I was like, man, our generation of guys, or just people in general, if you a girl playing college football 25, holla at us. That's dope. But that's just awesome. It's just such a turnaround. It's 11 years later. And it's awesome when stuff lives up to the hype. That's rare nowadays with everything and anticipating everything. So yeah, it looks dope. It's awesome. Dynasty's dope. Road to Glory's dope. David, if you start a Road to Glory, what position you gonna play to start off with?
I did start a road to glory, and I'm a QB, and
Okay.
I took my talents to Northern Illinois with the Huskies.
Okay.
Dude, the road to glory, the interface, everything about it is smooth. I haven't played my first game yet. I mean, you have, I think it's 4 different options of like, you can jump in as a 5-star, you can jump in as like a really good 4-star.
Right.
I chose the underdog route. So I'm like a 1 or 2 star. I
Yeah.
think I'm third string QB. So I'm gonna have to grind my way up. It's probably gonna take a while until I even get a snap
Right.
with the team. But man, QB, I had to. I might down the road do a quarterback road to glory, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm about to say quarterback would probably be the first one I would do to start off too. But yeah, underdog route, that's got to be the first. Like, can't be a 5 star jumping straight into it. You got to have a little bit of a challenge. I like
That's what
that.
I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. Now, I even though you don't have the game, you can still fantasize and think about this.
Right.
Dynasty mode is, I would argue, what makes the
Hmm.
college football game. Like when you think about NCAA 14 and now college football 25, I would say most people jump to dynasty mode. If
Right.
you were to have the game already, or when you get the game with your PS5, I know you're gonna buy very soon. And shout out Maggie. She's gonna be cool with it. She's gonna be cool with it.
And I'm Maggie.
What team are you running with first in Dynasty?
That's a good question. That was funny. I was eating lunch today, up here at work, and that was the question of the day at the lunch table was who would you start your dynasty with? And I mean, Georgia Southern is like my obvious answer because like alumni, whatever, XYZ. There was actually another Georgia Southern alum at the lunch table today, so I let him have that answer. I'd probably go to Texas, and I would either do Texas State to play Sun Belt or Sam Houston State and play Conference USA 1 star program. Reasonings for both. Honestly, I just like the look of both schools. I'm like, if it's a dynasty, you're going to rebuild the program itself anyway. So it's like it doesn't matter what their current ingredients are, But Sam
Yeah,
Houston State is cool. I love the orange. I love the Bearcat whole, vibe, whatever. And it's a 1 star program. I feel like Kennesaw State's going to get overused as like a crappy
yeah,
one.
they will.
So Sam Houston State, I like, and Texas geographically, recruiting wise, is cool. And then Texas State, like I feel like Texas State that's a place that could be like a Power 5 school potentially years down the road. You know what I'm saying? Like I could if Texas State got big enough, they have facilities, they have the look, they have, all the different features and ingredients of a potential Power 5. So I like them too. And then same reason, the Texas recruiting would be dope too. So and I kind of want to play a Sun Belt dynasty if I did, just out of familiarity, but I don't want to go Georgia Southern, the whole time just off of, alumni status or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, bro. I didn't do a Georgia Southern dynasty. I don't even know that I might in the future. Here's
Right.
what I did. I started with a JMU dynasty, and I got like 5 games in. And I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I deleted it.
Okay.
I think I went like 3-3. It wasn't the best look. We were struggling at times. And I felt like JMU was a bit cheap. Like to me, they're not an underdog team. They're not actually one of those scrap it out kind of dynasties. So I made another dynasty, and this is the one I'm sticking with. The Yukon Huskies.
Okay.
Everybody talks about their basketball team, but not a lick
Yeah.
anybody talks about their football team.
I like that.
So Dave O'Hovey, head coach. You got Dan Hurley along with him, man. We're probably gonna be best friends by year 2.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm looking good. It's a fun team. Their jerseys are somewhat nice, actually. They're very basic, but I fool with them.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm rocking with UConn, bro. Not Georgia Southern, shockingly.
I like that though. Hurley and Hovey up in Yukon. I like that. I like
I mean,
yeah.
it's the DH, Dan Hurley, Dave O'Hovey.
Exactly. Well, and like too, like UConn is like not like when I'm saying a realistic pick. I mean, like if you made UConn good, can you jump to different conferences in Dynasty? Is that a thing?
So, from my understanding, yes. Like I know that you can switch the conferences around before you start your
Gotcha.
dynasty, but I'm assuming after each year
There's
you
like
can. I'm pretty positive.
so like that would be one
So
if you started
yeah,
eating like the American or like is UConn independent right now though?
yep, yeah, independent.
So it's like if you rock
Yeah,
out with them, you could join a group of 5, rock out a little bit, and then the UConn could be like an ACC, Big East.
yeah,
I
bro.
mean, y'all just cook. So yeah, that would be that's awesome. I like that pick.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And it makes sense. I could see UConn becoming a decent football program at some point. I really could. I mean, they have been horrible for a long time in football. I mean, they're
Yeah.
like, I looked up past 10 years, all 132 FBS teams, their records. UConn was one of the dead last. And so that was like, all right, I feel good picking these guys. It's a true underdog story,
Yeah.
but I don't see why they couldn't. I think they could recruit well.
Yeah, no, I like, and that's like UConn's a school with so many resources already. So it kind of
Yeah,
doesn't make sense that their football team is that bad. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And we're gonna stay on the gridiron, but we will switch it up to the NFL.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be playing plenty of college football after this. But we have not really talked about the National Football League in our first four episodes. And we also really haven't talked about the number one pick in Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears. There was a long period of time where he did not sign a contract. They were trying to figure things out. He has now just signed one 4 years, 39 mil, I think a $25 million bonus extension. But the interesting part is he asked the team for a no franchise tag. Um, the team declined. I don't know if this is really something to read into, or maybe it is. My initial thoughts, I'm curious what yours are, is that Caleb Williams does not want to be a Bear past his rookie contract. But maybe I'm reading into that way too much.
Yeah. Caleb Williams, I'm not a hater on him by any stretch of the imagination. Good football player, number one pick. I hope he does well in Chicago. I like the Bears as an organization. Um, But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of glad the team just told him no. I feel like Caleb Williams, had
Yeah.
the leverage and the upper hand through a lot of the USC and then draft processes. So I'm kind of glad, sometimes people just need to be told no, and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that the Bears just kind of like, listen, here's your number one pick deal, XYZ, before you're getting 10 mil a year before you take a snap, here's your deal, XYZ, you'll be fine. So I'm kind of glad he got told no. It's funny to hear 4 years, 39 million after listening to NBA free agency all summer with those numbers. If anybody's getting 4 years, 39 million, they're not playing in the NBA. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not mad at it. I'm a guy. I'm not always like a rookie doubter or anything, but with Caleb Williams, I'm like, all right, get on the field with the Bears. They got rid of Justin Fields to clear the way for you. Get in and show us why, you deserve what you want. I'm ready to see some more proving it from Caleb Williams.
I'm with you, bro. And the thing is, if you're Caleb Williams, you really can't ask for much more with Chicago. They have already done enough for you. I mean, they have set the table and then some. DJ Moore, you pick up Keenan Allen. You take your other top 10 pick in the draft when they could have went O lineman or maybe another defensive piece. No, they helped you out. And they got Romo Dunze. I mean, what else do you want as a
Right.
rookie QB? He's walking into one of the best situations I've seen in a really long time
Hmm.
for a rookie quarterback in the NFL. So I'm with you. Like, again, I'm not, maybe I'm reading into it too much with asking for the no franchise tag option. But for Chicago, good for them to say, nah, we're going to do it our way. We've already done enough for you. If they don't make the playoffs this year, to me, it's a bust. I know that might sound crazy to some people. Look at the roster.
Yeah.
Tell me why they shouldn't make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, on paper, that's a playoff team, absolutely. So they just got to go out there and earn it. But yeah, Caleb Williams is a guy that we will definitely be revisiting as the NFL season gets here and as more things come out. But yeah, I'm ready to see Williams get on the NFL field and against the NFL defense, XYZ, and see what he does because his production, it's got to match his desires to a degree for it to make sense.
It does. It does, bro. I mean, look, he ain't walking in with a bag of chips and a piece of candy.
Right.
He's walking in with the finest chocolate you can think of and some
Right.
sweets to add to it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pleasantry he's getting with this roster. So I'm excited for him, but we're for sure gonna have plenty to talk about when the NFL rolls around because with Caleb Williams, Chicago, It's never short of drama. We know that. I mean, there will continuously be things to talk about with them. Unsweetened tea time. I don't got nothing unsweet in my life right now. Don't have a bone to pick. Sports world's been somewhat tame. Nothing has got me over the edge too much. But Chabo, I know that you got some things on your mind. What you got?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown and Derrick White. Let's just think about this, y'all. Jaylen Brown, Derrick White. One of them is in Saudi Arabia or wherever it's at right now in Abu Dhabi, playing for the USA team, and the other one is sitting courtside watching summer league games. One of them is the Finals MVP, and one of them was not even a starter 2 years ago in the NBA. Yeah, it's flip-flop and it's weird. Jaylen Brown is not on the Olympic team, and I gotta just ask why, Davo. It just doesn't make any sense, on paper. You think there's three Celtics on the Olympic team, and not one of them was the Finals MVP. What are we using for resume? Because I mean, in theory, the Finals MVP should probably be the first guy selected off of that team. In theory. But I'll give you Jason Tatum. I'll even give you Drew Holiday. I think, if you rank NBA players, Jaylen Brown's higher than Drew Holiday, but I'll give you Drew Holiday for the sake of the team needed guards. He's got experience. He's two-way player, XYZ. But Derrick White is where I just rolled my eyes and laughed because that didn't make any sense, bro. Like, and it wasn't until I remembered who we're talking about being Jaylen Brown, who is not as he's a little more subtle than Kyrie Irving, but he piggybacks on a lot of Kyrie and his own independent kind of disapproval of Nike. Which that's where this stuff gets in the weeds, and that's another unsweet part about it is USA Basketball is a Nike sponsored team. So I mean, yes, there are guys like Anthony Edwards with Adidas and yada yada that are on Team USA, but it's not that Jaylen Brown is an Adidas athlete or a Under Armour. I mean, he disapproves of Nike publicly. So if you disapprove of the head sponsor, probably not going to make the team. So, we're seeing that with Jaylen Brown right now, which I hate. I hate that Nike's correlation with sponsorship is determining who's playing for America, but here we are. So, I hate that Jaylen didn't make the team. I think Jaylen's a great player, and Jaylen would have improved that team. Like, he's a good defender. He, produces offensively. He's got chemistry with obviously two starter level guys on the team, Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum. So, I just hate that. I think not that Derrick White's a bad player, but when you look at the roster and it's LeBron, Curry, Tatum, Embiid, Durant, Holiday, yada 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 yada, Derrick White. Like, all right, what I'm saying? It just doesn't make too much sense. So if you're building a team like a team, then you can make a Derrick White argument. But if you're building a team like a Monstar lineup, like it looks like they have so far, then I don't understand why Jaylen Brown isn't on that team. But what are we gonna do? I hate that it comes down to brand loyalty and disapproval, but that's how it works. So there's my take on that.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, look, Jaylen Brown is a much better basketball player than Derek White. I don't think anybody can really argue the other way around. It doesn't make sense from a talent disparity perspective. Jaylen Brown should be over White on any roster. Nonetheless, Team USA, it really, to me, you mentioned it, the only possible explanation is Jaylen Brown's disapproval of Nike.
Mhm.
And again, that's another conversation for another time because, I mean, you can go on for hours about all of that. But what we've seen, and sadly, what we'll probably continue to see, is the political side of how these rosters are selected and the political side of the NBA. It's how it is. And again, to me, I don't know that much will change in the next few years in that regard. Jaylen Brown, NBA Finals MVP, you have to have him on the Team USA team. I mean, you do. It's like not having Caitlin Clark on the WNBA Team USA team. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around, and Clark is a much bigger one than Brown, but same thing. I'm with you, man. Jaylen Brown, instead he's criticizing Bronny James on the sideline of these
Yeah.
summer league
Yeah,
games.
which and it's if you're watching this podcast and you don't know what we're talking about, there's a clip of Jaylen Brown sitting courtside at the NBA Summer League a few days ago with his girlfriend, who is a uh WNBA player. Too, I don't think she's on a team at this very moment, but she's been in the league for a
Yeah.
couple of years. And then Angel Reese, who we all know, is also sitting courtside with him. And Jalen looks over to his girlfriend, and you can read his lips, and he says, like, what did he say? Like, Bronny, I don't think Bronny's a pro.
That's what he said.
Yeah, and so he says, I don't think Bronny's a pro, yada yada, which is just funny. And it's also funny that Jaylen Brown's girlfriend has been cut from like 12 WNBA teams in the past couple years. And you're saying, I mean, maybe she's not a pro either, Jalen. Maybe don't touch the person that gets cut every 2 months. I don't think Bronny's a pro. Like, they're not a pro either. Leave them alone. So I
Yeah.
thought that was funny. But
Yeah.
if you've seen that clip, there's your refresher. If you haven't, that's that. But man, it's just yeah, Jalen. Yeah, Bronny. If you don't think he's a pro, you sit in that court side. So that is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, bro, you're looking at a girl, her sport is in season right now. The WNBA is in the middle of the season. The NBA started one regular season game. So
Yeah,
you want to talk about who's not a pro?
yeah,
Look about 2 inches to your right, and you'll see. Yeah, man, you can't be chucking these cheap shots, realizing that the girl next to you ain't taking a shot, and who knows how long in the WNBA. So, yeah, man, Bronny, I understand the criticism. We've talked about it plenty, but come on, man, come
yeah.
on. Don't let your girl talk down on Bronny like that. She's gonna have to put up a few free throws or something before she can say, man, see, and that's how fed up I am about it.
Oh,
Sometimes you try to play off your camera falling down, you can't.
that's
College football season kind of feels like it's already here for some of us because I've been playing the video games. Hey, Bo, you're gonna be there soon. But we've been trying to hold off on the past episodes just because the NBA was hot with the NBA finals and the playoffs. In college football, there wasn't too much noise. But it's that time. We're getting closer and closer to August and September when things really ramp up. So I think we're at ease and finally talking about college football in depth. We're going to start by going through each Power Five conference and talking about who we think will probably come out of that conference. And then we got to throw a group of five team in at the end. I mean, we can't leave them out. We both went to Georgia Southern. So we're going to do that. We're going to just talk about college football in general, what we expect to see. I'm excited for this one. Let's start in the Big 12 conference.
okay.
Uh, I think we wait for the SEC and ACC, but let's start in the Big 12, man. The Big 12 conference, in a lot of ways, has taken some hits. When you look at the landscape of conference realignment, and you could argue that the Big 12 might have taken the biggest hit. I don't even count the Pac 12 anymore because of what happened there. Man, this one to me is kind of wide open. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, a new team in the Big 12 that I kind of like, and I'm keeping my eyes on this year. A lot of key playmaker returners. I like Utah. I'll keep my eyes on
Yeah,
Utah
yeah,
this year. I think they're a contender for sure. But yeah, like you said, the Big 12 out of the Power Four, it's definitely the most up in the air. I think the other three,
yeah.
I have a pretty confident this team is going to take it. But yeah, the Big 12, I like Utah as a contender. You got anybody else on your list, Davo, that you gonna keep an eye on?
I agree with you in Utah. I think Utah, in the sense of who has the best chance to win the Big 12, if you want to phrase it that way, I'm with you. I think that Utah probably is the most surefire team. You look at the other additions, Arizona, Arizona State. How much noise are they going to make in this conference? I don't know. Teams like Baylor to me, and even TCU, I want to say, oh, I could see Baylor maybe sneaking in. But Baylor's a team where I'm looking at it, man, and I'm saying, honestly, Where's the upward trajectory? There was a point in time where Baylor was a team. You talk about Waco, Texas, saying, man, those guys are dangerous, but they plateau. Where's Baylor at? TCU, you have the hot ride, and then you get the break speed off of you by UGA in the national championship. You lose Max Duggan. A lot of these teams in the Big 12, to me, I don't feel good about. There's not a team that I'm like, man, they're it. That's the team to keep your eye on this year. Um, because you lose Oklahoma, you lose Texas. How do you make up for that? I mean, there's not a team that you can compare. So yeah, man, I'm with you on Utah. I don't know that I have another team to answer your question.
Right.
When it comes to a team I'm keeping my eye on, I don't love this conference and where it's at the moment. I think there's potential. I think the conference will grow as it continues. But right now in this year, I think Utah might be the surefire favorite.
Yeah, I just don't think this is gonna be the Big 12's year. I think last year it had its chance with Texas and they came up short. But yeah, I just don't think it's the Big 12's year. So Utah, this may be Utah's time to strike while the playing field is open and get their name in a top four situation and potentially chase a chip.
Yeah, and you look at it, we can roll down this conference. I mentioned Arizona State, you had BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Colorado. Love Deion Sanders. I love Shador Sanders. We've talked about this. These teams, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, you could maybe argue that a team like West Virginia kind of rises out of the rough, but man, top to bottom, this is a weird conference to me. It's very weird. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they shock a lot of people this year, but this is Utah's year. It really is. I mean, there's no way around it. If you can't get it done this year, Utah's got to be shaking their head saying, all right, well, if we can't do it now, I don't know when we will.
Right. Exactly. Good deals. Well, let's move on to who you want to move on to, the Big Ten, ACC.
Yeah, I think we go ACC here. The ACC is a conference I've always been intrigued with. I've always liked a lot of the teams in there, so I think we roll with the ACC. They got some new additions of their own, along with the rest of the college football world.
Right.
Yeah, let's roll with the ACC.
Cool. I think with the ACC, I mean, I think this one is I won't say easy answer, but I think me not being a Clemson believer makes me a stamp on the FSU program. I think FSU is the leader coming out of this ACC. I think they're hungry. I think the college football playoff committee has, made them hungrier. They're returning, I think I want to say nine, maybe eight starters overall. So not a ton, but you're returning eight guys off of a unbeaten team. So yeah, I like FSU and out of Tallahassee and in that ACC spot. I think Clemson obviously may sneak in, or they might not sneak in. They may just go ahead and earn it. But I think Clemson's an at-large bid type of team.
Yeah,
So yeah, who else do you like in the ACC, Davo, outside FSU?
man. Yeah, Florida State, of course, is on the top of my list. I mentioned Cam Ward, Miami, when we talked about Heisman odds. Roster wise, Miami is a team that can get it done in the ACC. I genuinely believe that. I'm excited about what Miami can do this year with a top tier QB in Cam Ward. Man, and I even think Virginia Tech with Kyron Jones as their QB, that's another team I'm looking at saying I could see them making some noise as the season goes along. Their schedule is very favorable. When you look at who the Hokies play this year, man, I don't want to say it's an easy schedule because I don't think that's fair in any Power Five conference, but top to bottom, it's a realistic schedule to get things done in the ACC. And then Clemson, of course, Dabo Sweeney, you can never count him out. And I like Kate Klubnik. I think he had a bit too high expectations under him when he first stepped in. Now he knows what it's about. I think the pressure's off him a little bit because of the dip off. He did some good things. So There's a lot of teams in the ACC. To me, it's the opposite from the Big 12. I feel like the ACC is four teams are all fighting for a spot at the least. But Virginia Tech and Miami are the two teams where if I had to circle them and tell somebody that doesn't know football, hey, keep your eye on these two guys, that's who I'd show them.
Gotcha. Good deal. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I like Miami and I like Virginia Tech. I think Miami, like you said on paper, has a little bit more credibility to make a real run. But yeah, but I mean, Virginia Tech and Miami, those are two teams that I'm fond of. So I really hope they bring it to the plate. Like I said, I'm not a Clemson hater, but I'm definitely not a Clemson believer. So if a team like Virginia Tech or Miami stepped in and kind of tapped Clemson on the shoulder and moved into that second place type of spot, I'd be a fan of that for sure.
I like the ACC this year. I think they're in a good spot as a conference. Again, when you have at least four teams that are all solid and you say they got a chance, you're doing things the right way in a world where the conferences are getting weirder and weirder as they go along. And when you talk about weird, the Big Ten is right up there with the additions that they've had. You bring in the University of Washington where Washington, obviously, a magical season with Michael Penix. You bring in the University of Oregon. This is a conference loaded with talent. I mean, a lot of people say it's the top two in the SEC and Big Ten, and then everybody else is kind of just in their own world.
Right.
I'm going to say Ohio State, not even because I'm a fan of them, but roster wise, I mean, you can't argue it because of what they brought in. Their defense has always been the question mark over the past few years for getting over the hump. Well, there's not a question anymore. I mean, unless they go out on the field and lay an egg, this defense should be really good. The offense, there's never been a question about. And goodness, if you're questioning the Ohio State offense, I might have to question you all the way to a mental health counselor because there's an embarrassment of riches all the way through. You bring in Jeremiah Smith, a five-star receiver, love what they got going on. But outside of Ohio State, man, I think Oregon. I think the new addition in the Ducks.
Yep.
Explosive offense, something that the Big Ten outside of Ohio State and Michigan, you don't see a lot of.
Hmm.
Um, I think Oregon's going to shake things up, and there might be a learning curve.
Hmm.
But my initial, just off the dome pick, I'm going to go Oregon. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I think there's two teams in college football, like in the tier of college football that we're talking about. I think there's
Yeah.
two teams that because of realignment, or now that there has been realignment, they're in a position to rival a conference championship. And I think that's
Yeah.
Oregon, like you said, and I think that's Texas that we'll get into later. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Ohio State is my pick, if I had to pick one to
Yeah.
win the Big Ten next season. But like you said, I think Oregon's coming in and they're shaking it up. And they're another powerhouse coming into the Big Ten. It's always been a Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State little brother situation. But now I think you're seeing, Oregon step into that room. And honestly, I think Oregon may finish higher than Michigan this year, but they're definitely gonna step into that room with that top level of the Big Ten and prove why they're in that room. So I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ohio State would be my pick. Oregon two. I'll go Michigan three. And then I'll probably go Penn State number four. But I think that's kind of the lineup. I think the Big Ten. The SEC will probably have the most, bids to the playoff. But I think the Big Ten
Right.
is right up at that doorstep with them for sure. They can get a handful of teams,
Yeah.
which I feel like the Big Ten and the SEC are the reason there's been an expansion. I think that's more of a reason for expansion than the group of five people. Because one, I think the group of five
Yeah.
they don't have the leverage to cry that loud. But I also
Yeah.
think that, the Big Ten and the SEC, they have quality products on their hand, and they're saying, hey, listen, this is a lot of money that's going to be earned if y'all let these folks have a shot at a title. And so, they've got it.
Yeah.
So I think the playoff will be full of the SEC and the Big Ten, but yeah, those are my picks for the Big Ten for sure.
Yeah, no, it will. I mean, it will be a full conference. Ohio State is my pick, to be clear. I do think the Buckeyes will win the Big Ten, just talent wise. I don't see another team that is close to them. But with the 12-team playoff, don't be surprised if you see Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, and maybe another Big Ten school in the mix. I'm not sure what that fourth would be. Dylan Gabriel and Tez Johnson for Oregon. I mean, Dylan Gabriel off the charts, and they have another QB. So it's not like you lose Bo Nix and then, oh, goodness, where do we go? No, you're just bringing in another guy that does it at the highest level, and he's got a receiver to complement him in Tez Johnson. Really like Oregon, man. I like this Big Ten conference as well. You know where we go from here. Down south, the gauntlet, what everybody says is the best college football conference there is,
Yep.
Southeastern Conference, the SEC, where the
Yep.
big boys play. I think I know your pick, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Is it UGA?
Yeah, I'm about to say it just means more. Shout out to the SEC, the holy land of college football. And yeah, I think the University of Georgia is my pick. They were what, a field goal off of being three-time national champion. So I'm gonna go with Georgia. Not to discredit Michigan and Washington and all those guys, but they would have won that chip last year if they was in that four. But they didn't earn it. So, you go home, you recalibrate, and you come back this season and you win the SEC is what you got to do. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Texas is probably my pick to come out of the West. I think Texas is either going to go one of two ways. I think Texas will come in and say, we told y'all we were ready for the SEC. We've got a quality product. We were in the playoff last year for a reason. Boom, we run the West. Or they'll show up and the SEC will beat them up a little bit. That would surprise me, but
Yeah, yeah.
they're coming in, and if they play SEC conference play on top of their rivals in the non-conference, if that schedule wears them down a little bit and it causes them to slip to a Alabama or Texas A&M, whatever. If Ole Miss, so if it causes them to slip up a little bit, I potentially could see that happening, but I think it's going to be Georgia and Texas in that top two, with the dogs winning it. That would be my call.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Georgia is up there. I mean, if they're either one or two when I say up there. Carson Beck, of course, talented QB. You get Trevor Etienne, which in my eyes might be the biggest move for Georgia in the sense of when the game comes down to the wire, Carson Beck doesn't have to do it all himself. You got a running back, and Georgia is best when they have a great running back. Well, bring ETN in, a guy that did really well at Florida. Now he's with UGA. Defense will be good for Georgia. There's no question there, of course. Um, Texas, I'm right there with you on the Longhorns as well. I will say, when I look at this Texas schedule, I think it's a bit tricky because you open up against Colorado State, but then Texas has to go to the big house and play Michigan. Now, it's not a conference game, but momentum is huge to start their season. So, I mean, things could shape up very weird for Texas, especially if they drop one to Michigan there in week two. You play UTSA and ULM after that, two easy wins. Mississippi State should be a win. But then you got to play Oklahoma and UGA back to back. Two home games, which helps them. But those are tricky, especially to play UGA on the latter front after Oklahoma. They play Florida, and then Texas A&M is really the other real threat to me in the SEC that they'll play. I think it's a tricky schedule for the Longhorns. Man, Bama, I want to say that Alabama has this great shot, but I just genuinely don't know. And I'm probably along with a lot of other people in saying that. Love Jalen Milroe. I like Kalen DeBoer. But how does Kalen DeBoer mesh with what Alabama already has? I don't know. So to me, UGA and Texas feel like the safest options when it comes to who steps out of the SEC. Oklahoma, man, I almost feel like nobody's even thinking about them when we talk about the new SEC. It's more of just Texas, Texas, Texas. Oh, and by the way, Oklahoma was added too.
Right.
Oklahoma maybe makes some noise with Brent Venables. That defense is getting better and better. But yeah, I sound like a broken record, but UGA and Texas, I think me and you both are on the same page with that. Ole
Right.
Miss, maybe they make noise, but it feels like a top two, and then there's a bit of a drop off.
Yeah, I think I think UGA, or skip UGA. I'll just go West specifically. I think Texas is the front runner. I think Bama is a solid, in that top tier range as well. Even though they're switching up coaching staff, like you said, the culture and the program that is Bama football is still in consideration. They literally, I mean, they were in the playoff last year.
Sure.
So I mean, I
Right,
like that.
right.
See, I think a team like Ole Miss is going to be a little bit stronger than Oklahoma. I think that's kind of where my call goes. I love Jackson Dart when we talked about the Heisman, not prediction, but just candidates early in a couple episodes back. I mentioned Jackson Dart as a part of that SEC carousel of Heisman caliber quarterbacks. So I think Ole Miss definitely can make noise and get themselves into a top 12 situation. I'm not doubting that at all. If they put the right product on the field consistently, I think they're in that conversation. Similar to a Penn
Yeah,
State in the Big Ten. So yeah, so I like our picks. I'm, similar to Clemson. I'm not a Oklahoma fiend. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I don't consider them a strong, or I don't consider them a championship caliber program year in and year out like a lot of
yeah,
the fans do. But yes,
yeah,
Ole Miss could definitely be a practical third place team in that Western division of the SEC. But we'll see what happens. I hope they're all good. That if the SEC is good, college football is good to me. So yeah, so I'm rooting for them all. But Georgia, Texas, and Bama, Ole Miss are definitely creeping on that CFP.
yeah, yeah. Well, now we'll talk about the group of five. I already got it pulled up, all the group of five schools, just so I can skim over and really think about this one because it's going to be tough. But when it comes to the group of five conferences, who is your dark horse? Or maybe you have multiple.
Yeah.
Who are the teams or team that you're looking at saying, hey, I like these guys this year?
Yeah, I think a couple of the conferences I think are strong enough to or like I think their winner will be strong enough to compete for that group of five spot. I think starting in the American Athletic, I mean they've had three different conference championship winners in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think Memphis can slide in and be the fourth winner in the past
Hmm.
4 years. They're returning a ton of people. I like them in the American. So that'll be my American pick for the sake of this shuffle. I think Liberty at a Conference USA is a team that a lot of people are just go ahead and mentally sliding in for this group of five spot, which is not a bad take. I mean, you got phenomenal
No, no.
offensive weapons. You won 13 games last year. So I think they could get busy and get in that spot. Out of the Fun Belt, shout out to the conference that we were formerly students at. I think App State in the East is probably the favorite as of current.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier
Yeah.
in Dynasty potential pick with Texas State. I think they're building something good in the West. So I think that may be the battle. But then again, bro, I can't dock your JMU Dukes, man. I think y'all have got y'all at least have a claim and a good chance to run for that Sun Belt
Yeah.
championship. I don't
Yeah.
know about that CFP, but Sun Belt championship, I think that could be somewhere y'all win. So those three would be kind of my round robin. I'll go, Sun Belt champ, um, Memphis, and Liberty. Those may be the three that I consider for that group of five spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll start with CUSA. I'm right there with you on Liberty. And the nicest way I can say this, Conference USA is a bad conference.
Yeah.
They don't have good teams. I'm not going to go on some elaborate, dialogue about it. FIU, Jacksonville State, Sam Houston, Kennesaw State. Those are just a few of the teams. Middle Tennessee, no shade to them, but Conference USA is struggling. And Liberty is clearly, and I mean clearly, like through a glass, the best team in that conference. So I'll start with the Flames. They're going to take CUSA. I've always liked the American Conference. I've always liked the teams that they've had. Um, Memphis is not a bad pick. I look at it, man, Tulane could even be a team.
Yep.
Tulane made noise
Yep.
last year, the Green Wave. I don't hate them. I think South Florida is another school. sometimes, man, I remember when they had Quentin Flowers. I mean, there were years where South Florida made some noise and people kind of forget about them. So
Yeah.
I'm not willing to put them off the radar. I would say my pick for the American, and I don't know much about these schools coming into this year, to be honest, but I'll lean towards Tulane, with Memphis trailing closely behind. I'll touch on the MAC real quick. The MAC's another conference that's struggling, man. There ain't no way around it. They're looking for something. Kent State. I mean, really, that's what we're working with when we're looking at the freaking MAC, man. It's tough. Buffalo, maybe. Buffalo's had some decent success.
I think
I
Miami,
don't even
Ohio.
have a pick for them.
Yeah, I think Miami,
Yeah,
Ohio may be
yeah,
my front runner for them.
yeah,
That's a conference
yeah,
that's had a lot of movement, like transfer portal wise. They've had a lot of in and outs because of the portal. So I think there's some unpredictability about the MAC right now. But I'd say Miami,
yeah,
Ohio, would be a team to consider up there. Just like I said, just because a team wins their conference, they're not going to be considered for this group of five spot. So like you were talking about with Liberty,
right,
that's
right.
probably why Liberty is my current pick for that group of five spot. Is even though the Conference USA is probably the worst conference in FBS, if Liberty wins it so dominantly, that is what may
Yeah.
earn the spot. But then again,
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, there's a good chance they steamroll the other teams they play. Mountain West, I really like Boise State. They got a young quarterback, a lot of potential and a lot of skill. Sun Belt, JMU. Of course, I'll be in Harrisonburg in 3 days, move in on the 20th, ready to be working with the Dukes. And JMU has been a team that's proven to be successful. And I do like App State. I think they're a good team and they have a great culture. So after skimming through all that, to make this shorter for myself, group of five wise, when I look at the legitimacy of, okay, who actually gets slotted in to one of those 12 spots, I like the Sun Belt winner. And whether that's JMU or App State, I think the Sun Belt winner can get in. Man, and depending on what Boise State does, I think Boise State's a team where they very well could not be good, right? I mean, there's a chance where they kind of fumble the bag. But if they are good, I wouldn't be shocked if Boise State and that Smurf turf makes some noise. And then I'm with you on Liberty. And those are the three schools in my eyes with the realest shot. But if I'm putting money on it, if I'm telling you this is for sure who I think, I'm going Sun Belt winner, assuming James Madison, and then I'm going Mountain West with Boise State, along with Liberty in the CUSA. That was long winded, but that was fun. I mean, I love diving into that, bro. We don't talk about the group of five enough because there's still some good schools in there.
yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. New segment, episode 5. We're debuting it. It's a segment I mentioned to Davo about a week ago. I said, hey, let's do a segment called Versus. And I said, we'll make it kind of a competition. We'll let anybody who watches, the social media pages and the episodes vote on who can win so we can get some engagement and yada yada. And I was just, who doesn't like a draft? Especially us sports people, who don't like a draft? So I texted Davo
Sure.
and I said, listen, USA basketball is going on. We're about to play in the Olympics, yada, yada. This was right after the showcase game against Canada. And I said, hey, let's pick 4v4 teams off of the Olympic roster. So that's how this is going to go. Davo called me earlier and we were talking about this and he said, all right, you can have the first pick. Yeah. And I said, okay, cool, 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 cool. That makes my, I know what I'm picking. I know who I'm picking. So we're going to pick teams of four. And we're going to go back and forth. I'll go first. Dave will go. We'll just go back and forth, throwing it across like a ping pong table. And we're just going to pick 4v4. And we're going to let y'all, if you watch this episode and you haven't been over to Instagram, go watch on Instagram. There's going to be a poll where you can vote for who's got the better team. So yeah, Devo, you got any thoughts about the versus segment? You like it? What's up?
Nah, bro, when you sent me the text, and I think I was in Montana for a home game with the Range Riders, and I looked at my phone as a text from Chase Beckham, and it was like, I got a new idea. Let's do versus.
Yeah.
And bro, as soon as I said it, I don't remember how I responded to you, but I was essentially like, I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, This is a great idea, bro. And we're going to continue to roll out new segments and just try new things. And let's be honest here. I want my team to win. I want my team to
Exactly.
be the one that everybody says, nah, that's it. That's the squad that's getting it done. So
Yep.
there's some competition to it. We're going to have to figure out as we get down the road how we can balance the number one pick with something else.
Mhm. Of
But I ain't sweating it. I'm still going to craft a gauntlet of a team.
course. Because when you pick from the daggum Olympic basketball team, everybody's a dog.
Exactly.
Everybody's a
Exactly.
um
Yeah.
so yeah, that's good deal. And yeah, and like you said, I feel like there's definitely things that we disagree on and go back and forth. For example, James Harden
Yeah.
Ginobili, episode 4.
Yeah.
If you haven't,
Yeah.
go peep it. But we do agree and have similar, mentalities on a lot of other stuff. So
Right.
I feel like this is a good way to kind of, even though we both love the Olympic team and the players on it, except for Derrick White, shout out Jaylen Brown. Um, but
Hey, I like Derrick White. I
yeah,
like Derrick
I like
White.
him too. I say
He,
except for Derrick White. I mean, I've got a card right here with all the names on the players, and if you can see, I'll hold it up. The bottom name is Tatum because Derrick White is not on my list. I'm not picking Derrick White, Devo. So
look, look, I'm not picking Derek White. Don't you worry.
right.
He ain't on my team, but I like him.
Yeah, so we like the Team USA guys, but with versus, we get to pick our own four and kind of build some competition. So I think it's a good way to
Yeah,
blow something out. And we still will be doing high five segments where we do top five or something. We'll just
yeah,
alternate and we'll basically pick a topic and say, okay, is this going to be better as a top five or a versus? So we'll kind of roll back and forth with
yeah,
it. But for this episode 5, we're debuting versus. Um, so yeah, so first pick off the board, I'm gonna take the GOAT. King James, shout out to my dog. Been a fan since I've been
yeah.
alive. King James, number one to me.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And see, here's the thing. With us doing it, it's a lot like NBA blacktop, where your friend picks this 7'2" center, and then you're like, holy crap, have to draft a center now so that I can match up with him on the floor.
Right.
So that's another chess piece to this. You're grabbing LeBron. I'm gonna grab a dude that's gonna space the floor out and make you guard on the perimeter. Give me Steph.
New Steph. All right. Good
Give me
deal.
Steph.
Shout out Steph Curry. Great pick. Great pick. All right. So here we go. Now I'm gonna look. I feel like in the front court. Have you been watching the games, Devo? Like the USA basketball games?
Man, not much. Dude, I was so busy and we talked
That,
about it with that last half or last week, my schedule. It was tough to tune into a game. I saw the Canada a little bit of that one.
right. Yeah, I'm about to say because I think I've watched most of all of them. I've missed the starts. Like today I missed the first quarter of the Serbia game. But yeah, I think I watched Canada start to finish. I've tried to tune in because I mean, honestly, when you think about it, and I know you'll be tuning in as the future games pop up, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, LeBron and Curry, it kind of gives me 92 Dream Team vibes when Magic and Bird, I mean, they played on the team together and they were like, I think they retired either right
Yeah.
before or right after, so I think
Yeah.
it's the passing of the torch. You see LeBron and Curry and KD, and they're kind of handing it down to, Tatum and Anthony Edwards and that crew. So I like the dynamic of the team role wise. But yeah, I knew I hadn't asked you if you had watched much of the games, but I've been watching, and man, it's exciting. You got a different guy going off every game. I mean, I watch
Yeah.
Anthony Davis has been,
Yeah.
AD's been killing. Anthony Edwards been scoring out his mind, bro. So it's been good to watch them. Because all of them can ball. I even saw Bam Adebayo today was getting busy for a little run. Which shout
Yeah.
out Kentucky boys.
I like Bam. Yeah.
All right, so I've got LeBron. Davo's got Curry. I'm gonna take just because we've seen if you get who I'm about to pick, we've seen what him and Steph Curry can do together, and nobody had an answer for it. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
allow
Yeah.
it to happen, and I'm gonna take Mr. Kevin Durant off the board.
Uh, uh, yeah, that's a great pick. I can't lie with you. I mean, that's a great pick. I got two things. There's two directions I want to go. One direction I think will help me match up with who you pick. The other direction I think you have zero answer for. Give me Joel Embiid. Give
Okay.
me the best perimeter player on this Team USA team in Curry, the best shooter, and give me the most dominant interior player on this roster in Joel Embiid, the pick and roll game. Are you kidding me?
That's
Give me
good.
Embiid.
Yeah, I like Embiid. Embiid's a guy that, like, for example, feel my only con on Embiid, and don't get me wrong, I love Joel Embiid. We talked about Joel Embiid in great detail on this podcast in
Yeah.
previous episode. I obviously love Joel Embiid for the sake of this group of players. If you look at the roster, there's one player that doesn't play to the or that doesn't have the capability to consistently play at the speed and the pace of the rest of the group. And
Right.
that's what I would say Joel Embiid is. Just
Yeah, I agree. I'd
yeah.
agree.
But like I said, Joel Embiid is the most dominant physical force on the team, though. So that's a phenomenal pick.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's a Embiid is the guy that creates. You've got to throw one and a half people on Joel Embiid.
And I already got Curry.
Exactly. So you got to. So yeah, I like that pick. Like you were talking about two directions. I've got two directions I'm trying to go. I'm like, do I want to pick up, like you said, a big guy to combat Embiid, or do I want to go with somebody that I don't want to see get taken out of my hands? Let me see. Let me see. Because I'm trying for everybody's reference too. When we do these 4v4 after we get done, Davo will pick hit or I'll send Davo like how I'm organizing guys lineup wise. But just
Yeah.
predecessor that Davo, I'm gonna put LeBron at the one. I've seen him play so many possessions as the point guard with the three
Yeah.
championship games that I'm confident he could handle that role in this. So I'm in mentally, I've got LeBron as my point. KD, obviously a wing guy. Um, so let me think. Let me think. I'm gonna go. Ah, this is tough. I'm gonna go with a guy that can create his own bucket. He doesn't need help to get a bucket. He's got the size to match up, I'd say 1 through 3. He's also got the mentality to be the guy on any team you put him on. I'm gonna go with my fellow Georgia boy, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. 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 That's a good pick. I mean, and yeah. But thank goodness, because there was a name that I was afraid you were going to steal, but he's wide open. Give me Tatum. I
Yep.
think Tatum's going to match up just fine
Yep.
with LeBron James, and I think he's going to match up just fine with KD.
Yep.
Give me Tatum on the wing. I got Curry outside. I got Embiid on the post, and I got Tatum on the wing who can create off the dribble himself. He also can post up.
Yep. I love
I
it.
like my three, man.
I like that. The only reason I didn't pick because I love Tatum, man. And my what's the word? My appreciation for Tatum has grown so much in the NBA playoffs this year and this Olympic game. He's a guy I didn't realize how amazing. How should I say it? I knew Tatum could get to the bucket and finish extremely well, but Tatum is a top 10 NBA slasher who's trying to play like Kobe.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how I look at Tatum.
yeah,
And so I love that pick. I was sitting here out of the guards that I was thinking about picking there. I love Edwards. I love Tatum. Edwards, that's Georgia boy mentality. He's swaggy. I think Ant on my team is going to fit real well. And then my fifth and final pick is the guy I was thinking about picking ahead of Ant, but I love this guy. Easy one. Give me Kentucky boy Anthony Davis.
yeah, yeah.
Love
I
that.
mean, if you didn't pick AD, I was going to pick him, and it was going to be Embiid and AD, and you ain't have nobody to stop us.
Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
no,
scared you were gonna. I was scared you were gonna do that after I picked Ant. But luckily, I like the Tatum pick. That was probably a better pick. But yeah, there we go. I'll take AD as my big guy.
all right. So you got LeBron,
K
KD,
K.
Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. I got Steph, I got Joel, and I got Tatum. Off the names that I'm looking at right now, I'm thinking between Kawhi Leonard
Okay.
and Devin Booker.
And that's also
Because if I get,
do we with Kawhi?
go ahead,
Do we want to count Kawhi because he's off the team now?
free. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I
That's
mean,
fair.
like,
That's fair.
because and that'll make your decision easier with the guys you're contemplating about. But yeah, let's. just to keep
Yeah.
the sake of the guys we're actually going to see on the court.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have to go Devin Booker here. Part of me wants to go Bam
Hmm.
and add another a versatile big that can match up with a LeBron and with a KD. But well, shoot. Now I'm thinking about it more. See, as I'm thinking about it, my mouth is moving. I'm like, well, that's not a bad idea
Hmm.
because if I'm being real with you, I'm not worried about LeBron and KD.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm really not worried about LeBron at all because I think Tatum can plug whatever hole I need him to against KD or LeBron enough. And Joel Embiid is going to swallow up the paint. Ain't nobody scoring on him.
Right.
And I'm afraid drafting Devin Booker, I have two holes on the defensive end. That's my only fear. But I already got three dudes that can score at the same rate as the three dudes you picked, if not better. I mean, I would argue
Oh yeah,
all of them.
I think Curry, like I said, I think Curry obviously scoring. I think the only dock on Curry is that he's the guy on the floor that's the defensive liability, you know. So
Right, right.
but and then obviously Tatum, like we talked about, or I talked about with Michael Beasley last episode, his favorite type of player, 6'10" with everything. Tatum
Yeah,
is 6'10" with everything. So I
yeah,
love Tatum. Like I said with Embiid, the pace of play, is something if this was a 4v4 game, I would love to freaking sit down and watch it. I told Davo before the episode, y'all, I was sitting in the gym. Shout out to the Buck Dome at CSU, and I'm watching the men's basketball guys play pickup a little bit. So if I got to see this group of guys play pickup, that'd be a good day. But
and this is half court. This is half court,
okay, we're
V.
doing half
I'm
court.
assuming
Yeah, that
for
makes
4v4.
yeah. No, I
That,
like
and that's why I'm comfortable with Embiid
yeah,
because in half court,
right.
I mean, shoot, he don't have to run up and down.
Exactly. I like yeah, that's fine. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so who you going with the four spot? You going I mean, they're both Kentucky
Yeah,
boys, so shout out to the I mean, shout out Kentucky boys.
yeah, they're both cold, man. Devin Booker obviously provides another offensive threat, but what does he give me to match up? I mean, that's the question I'm asking myself right now. Because again, I've already got three guys that can score.
Hmm.
Give me Bam Adebayo.
Okay.
I want a versatile player that can switch everything.
Yep.
And Bam Adebayo can switch everything on the floor and take the pressure off Embiid. If
Exactly.
one of your, if if AD is trying to pop out, it's all right. Embiid stay in the hole. Bam's
Right.
got it.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I like my four. I think Bam is a good piece. I think he'll mesh well with Curry. The smart player too.
I love
Yeah,
Bam. I think if Bam Adebayo and Joel Embiid switched performances in these USA games, people are saying Embiid is one of the, best players on the court right now, but I think
oh
Bam,
yeah,
just because he's sitting behind quote unquote AD and Embiid, he's getting looked over a bit, but man, Bam is coming in and meshing incredibly well. So I'm a big fan. Yes,
yeah,
our teams, man. So I'm thinking we going Braun versus Curry is like the matchup, I guess, for the ones. At the two, you're throwing Tatum, I'll throw Edwards.
yeah,
And then for the
yeah,
other spot, you go Bam, I go Durant,
yeah.
and then AD Embiid. So yeah, I like those four, man. I like that. If you're watching this, go hop over on Instagram at Davo Chabo Podcast and go vote on what you think, whose team is winning in this matchup, So
Yeah.
yeah, I like it.
I mean, that dude, we got to play this on blacktop. We got to find a way to run this on blacktop,
Yeah,
bro.
the squad.
That would that would be so cool. But
Yeah,
I like both squads, man. I mean,
I
you
like it.
you can make a strong case for both sides, which is what we want in
Right.
this versus, and I think my guys get it done. I do,
Yeah.
because who's guarding Curry on your team? Let's
I
be
would
honest.
I would go Anthony Edwards.
You think Ant?
I think defensively I would put Ant on Curry. I would throw Durant. Yeah, I throw Durant on. Ooh, I could go Durant on Curry and then throw Ant-Man on Tatum. LeBron. I would put LeBron on Bam Adebayo. And then I would throw,
That, yeah,
that's what I would obviously do defensively. And then honestly,
yeah,
you can take your pick, Ant and KD, who's ever the better defender. I may throw them on Tatum, just for the sake of whoever's on Curry. You're an Olympian, so you can defend. And if I put Ant on Curry, that's a 3 or 4 inch difference. That's a 3 inch difference. If I put Durant on Curry, that's a 6 or 7 inch difference. So it's like whoever's on Curry, Curry's gonna be swallowed physically in an ISO setting. Obviously you've got three jokers that can set a screen and create action, but from a face value,
yeah.
Curry's gonna be guarded by a much bigger guy if I did Edwards or Durant. But you can kind of take your pick there. But I think LeBron with the ball in his hands, Edwards and KD being able to get to their spots and play off the ball. And then you got an AD who is arguably the most dominant player on USA right now. I mean, he had 6 blocks today, Davo. They're playing Jokic, and
Yeah.
he's got 6 blocks, Dave.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
AD may be the best defender out of all 8 guys we picked. And he can stretch the floor. He can finish above the rim. He's got everything in his bag. He's a complete guy. So yeah, so I like my team. I like your team. I think a lot of these, like mentioned earlier, are similar mentalities about this stuff is going to produce some even matchups on this versus segment. But yeah, we'll let the people decide. We make our cases.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
And the people.
But if for the people watching, I'll just ask you this: when I throw Steph Curry and Joel Embiid and some high ball screen action, what's Chabo's team gonna do about it? That's what I ask you.
I'll say we got Anthony Davis, who, like I said, best defender out of all 8. He can guard 1 through 5, dude. There's not, it
Well,
ain't
no, he ain't guarding Curry, man. Not
Curry.
not on the perimeter.
Well, here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. If there's a switch where Curry is on AD is quick enough and is so long, pause, and just a big guy, pause again. He can stay in Curry's range. You know what I'm saying? He can stay in the vicinity, but if Curry needs another screen or another action to create more space, you just switch that back and we back on ball. And that's, I think, with my
Yeah.
guys. Anthony Edwards is 6'6", LeBron is 6'9", Durant is 6'10", 11, and AD is 6'11". Everybody's big and everybody is switchable, you know.
But here's the thing: you switch AD on Curry, let's say.
Mm,
The other three dudes are not stopping Embiid inside. LeBron ain't even stopping or Embiid inside.
right, right, right.
And KD, I mean, the thumbnail that he definitely ain't stopping Joel Embiid. I mean, goodness gracious, I'm not worried about a slice of paper stopping one of the most dominant centers of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And that's where in this situation, I think I'm putting the KD on Tatum. Because if Tatum's going to set that ball screen or that off screen, you're switching right there with a guard already. So I think basically my take on it is all of my guys are huge players, and AD can guard Embiid if he needs to. LeBron can bump Embiid. If it's a one-on-one Bron Embiid, you send the dig, you send the help, and we'll be all right.
Sure.
But the situation where Bron and AD or Bron and Embiid is one-on-one I don't see that happening. But on the flip side, I got a 6'9" point guard that's the GOAT. I've got a 6'11" sniper who the only thing you can really do defensively if he's trying to get busy is pray. I've got Anthony Edwards, who is the youngest gun in the league and is scoring more than all of these jokers against the world. And then you got AD, who's the best defender out of all 8 of them and can shoot the 3 ball.
Yeah, yeah, but on the other end, I've got the greatest shooter of all time
Right.
in Steph Curry, which means your defense is going to be pushed out. I've got the greatest interior threat in the NBA and Joel Embiid. Don't think there's a question there. And I've got the most versatile wing in the NBA in Jason Tatum, who can score with the best of them and who also can play defense with the best of them. And then I got a plug player in Bam Adebayo, where
Right.
whatever I need from him on the court, he's going to do. I need him to set screens for Curry. No problem. I need him to lock up the GOAT LeBron. No problem. I'm not saying he's going to lock him up, but he'll slow LeBron down, and he can switch on AD. I don't know that,
Yeah.
AD will. I would say AD might have a slight advantage over Bam because of the size, but Bam would make it tough on AD. So, man, I love it, bro, because both of our cases are strong. I mean,
Exactly. And that's like I think that's a big reason I picked LeBron outside of being the best player. I think I picked LeBron because, like you said, a Bam would be guarding LeBron in this situation because I feel like Ant-Man and KD may be a mismatch for Bam. He's a phenomenal defender. But if he's on LeBron and he's in LeBron's grill and guarding him well, LeBron's not on my team to be the lead scorer offense. LeBron ain't got to put the ball in. LeBron could have 0 points and be the most valuable player out of my four. So I think LeBron is on my team to create. And in Curry, yes, Curry's the best shooter of all time. We love him, we know him. But Steph Curry's 6'2" and a half, 6'3" when Aisha's nice to him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Steph Curry 6'3". The smallest guy I could potentially have guarding him is Anthony Edwards, who's a bulldog 6'6". So I think, or 6'5", 6'8", bulldog. So I think Curry being the greatest shooter of all time, yes, but he ain't the greatest shooter of all time being guarded by the four guys I got on my roster. It's gonna be a test. But yeah, so I think we're good. We'll let the folks decide. We've made our play, and like we said, this the U.S. Olympic team. We're picking the top 8 guys on the team. All of them great, So it's a one. It's a hard one to debate. But yeah, we got a great matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing what the people think. So yeah, I like that.
Boom. Hey, episode 5 in the books
Yes,
of the
sir.
Lunch Table Podcast. Again, we're gonna throw out the poll on Instagram for Versus. Let us know what you think, which team you're deciding, or maybe you got an idea of your own for this USA roster, man. We want to hear it. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We're gonna continue to roll these out. Ain't no breaks, no more. Let's get it. And as we always finish, elbow room.
Elbow room, baby. Thank y'all for tuning in. Episode 5. We out of here.